Every gamer has their own favorite game developer. Maybe a few publishers you like as well. Tell me your favorite game developer in the comment section. But what about the other side of the coin? What about the companies you always avoid? What about those companies that make you hesitant whenever you see their logo on a box of a game that you're interested in? Well, welcome to Chaos Gaming. Today, we're going to go over 10 douchebag gaming companies who need to stop. Developers, publishers, they're all viable on this list. You let me know in the comments which of these is your least favorite. Drop a like, make sure you have your notifications on. Thank you for all the support on Chaos Gaming. And here we go. First up is GEARBOX. Look, I love Borderlands as much as the next guy, but GEARBOX is seriously, they've had some issues over the last decade, and I don't know, it just far outweighs the good at this point. They've been involved with multiple controversies during the 21st century involving their IPs. They got into some heat with how they handled and killed Duke Nukem. They were the center of countless accusations of outsourcing and money laundering during Aliens Colonial Marines. And then GEARBOX CEO Randy Pitchford is known for making some extremely arrogant and out-of-touch comments during interviews and giving himself million-dollar bonuses instead of raising his employees' salaries. Now, GEARBOX may put out a good game every once in a while, but as a studio, I don't think they're the good guys right now. Next up is SUPERCELL. Now, they were off to a great start. Clash of Clans, huge, but since then, they've quickly been labeled as that mobile game developer who forces microtransactions wherever they can fit them. Now, they're responsible for Clash, Clash Royale, Brawl Stars, Heyday, Boom Beach, games that are all perfectly fine on their own. I still play Royale today, right now, but have gotten progressively more unbalanced and greedy. It's a shame. Back in 2012, SUPERCELL was recognized as one of the best startup companies in the world, but now, well, they're known mainly for their monetization and their game design. So if you ever wonder where the trend of really aggressive monetization in mobile games came from, look no further than SUPERCELL. Next up is Blizzard. This one hurts. It hurts. Like many others, I've loved Blizzard for a long time. We can argue until we're blue in the face about why Blizzard changed so much, but nobody can deny that the Blizzard we loved, it's not here. The one we have today is a shell of their former selves, concerned far more with the profits than creativity. Blizzard used to be one of the heroes of gaming, but ever since 2010, it just hasn't been the same. They nosedived World of Warcraft. They made a series of very controversial statements regarding Hong Kong. They announced the disastrous Diablo Immortal. They announced Overwatch 2 2 years ago and haven't given us any news since then. I mean, they've had some privacy issues with the Battle.net launcher. They absolutely destroyed the Warcraft 3 remake. They failed to keep the Overwatch community happy due to frequent bad patches and balancing changes. The list goes on. Now, Blizzard keeps trying to be like their old self, but so much of that team has changed, it's just not possible. They're clearly more concerned, or the agenda is more about the money right now. At number 7, Digital Homicide. Now, I'm going to put them down at number 7 because they actually did stop making games, but I want to let it be known, if they were still around, they would be number 1. They were an indie studio mostly known for making terrible, cheap games and then attacking YouTubers for criticizing those terrible, cheap games, okay? Following the insane backlash against their game called The Slaughtering Grounds, Digital Homicide not only filed suit against YouTuber Jim Sterling, but they also attempted to get the personal information of 100 Steam users so they could sue them as well because they gave bad reviews. Of course, Valve quickly caught on to this and kicked Digital Homicide off the platform, and in October of 2016, the lawsuit against Jim Sterling was dropped and the studio was shut down. Good riddance if you ask me. They tried to come back with a new name in 2018, but frankly, I'm not even going to tell you what the name is because these guys are better left forgotten by the gaming community. Next up is Capcom, and I debated putting them on the list because it seems like just mentioning them is sometimes enough for them to come down and come after your video. But, I mean, if you're a gamer, if you're a content creator, they don't like content creation, and they've falsely copyright struck a laundry list of YouTubers. Aside from their DRM policies, Capcom is also known for being dramatically out of touch with their community. I mean, they released countless low-effort entries and franchises that people love, many of which are content on a disc on day one, but it's locked away later to sell as DLC. Now, in the last few years, I will admit, Capcom has been an upward trend with games like Monster Hunter World, RE7, RE2 the remake, but I'm not going to celebrate their return just yet. After all, they're still messing with Street Fighter V's monetization. They screwed up Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite, and they're still striking YouTubers for no reason. So I have hope that Capcom can make a comeback, but I don't have faith. Next up is King. You guys know King. Founded in 2003, King is a mobile game developer who's known for ripping off other games and then publishing their own highly marketed versions of them with tons of microtransactions shoved in them. They're responsible for games like Candy Crush, Saga, Bubble Witch Saga, which are perfectly fine games, but they're obvious rip-offs of other smaller titles, and they're monetized super heavily. Throughout the years, a few companies have taken King to court over their rampant copying, and in 2014, King even tried to trademark the words Candy and Saga in video game titles, which kind of just solidified how aggressive these guys are with their business model. Now, they've been laying low in terms of controversy recently, but their business model remains, and they definitely deserve the heat they get. Next up is Take-Two. Now, this isn't a developer, but they're one of the biggest publishers in the world. And over the last 10 years or so, they've made a name for themselves with some really questionable business practices. In case you weren't aware, Take-Two owns both 2K games and Rockstar games. So anything that goes down with NBA 2K and GTA Online, it's them. Now, they're known for really pushing microtransactions and advertisements within their games. Just recently, they came under fire for adding unskippable ads in NBA 2K20, just a year after they did it in 2K19 and said they wouldn't do it again. Plus, if you've been playing GTA Online for a while, you probably know all about the absurd microtransactions in there. And a few years ago, they tried to all of a sudden get rid of mods in the PC version, which obviously was met with huge backlash from the community, which is massive. Now, in case you needed more ammo against Take-Two, back in 2018, the CEO met with President Trump to talk about the effect of violence in video games, a discussion that thankfully didn't go anywhere. These guys, I don't know. At number 3, ZYNGA. Most of you probably don't even know ZYNGA, but you do know their games. Much like King, ZYNGA is it's notorious for ripping off small indie games and then marketing them to this absurd degree to maximize profits. They're best known for Farmville and Words with Friends, but they're also well known for their association with Facebook. ZYNGA and Facebook work very closely together. So whenever ZYNGA makes a new ripoff game, Facebook pushes it insanely hard and pretty much guarantees its success and completely erases the original from the world's memory. This is what happened with Farmville and Dream Heights and just all kinds of stuff, okay? ZYNGA has been taken to court multiple times. They've even been attacked by EA for ripping off their games. I mean, there's no shame or integrity at all. Speaking of EA, no shocker, they've been voted the worst company in America multiple times, and yet they're still doing their best to one-up themselves every single year. Now, aside from the tendency to buy up and shut down talented studios, they have a habit of radically changing franchises people like in bad ways. Dead Space, Mass Effect, Battlefield, Battlefront, Dragon Age, Command & Conquer, we can go on and on and on. If EA puts out a new game with any multiplayer function, you know they're going to jam it up with microtransactions. We've seen it with Madden, FIFA Ultimate Team, and it's only a matter of time before that starts going into other franchises. I mean, it has all the money they could ever want to make an amazing game, and they still feel the need to do what they do with their microtransactions. And the worst part about it is they're pretty big. They're really big. They're not going to fail. They have so many properties, they can just do it over and over. Maybe one day they'll change because they didn't always used to be this way, but for now, yeah. And at number 1 today, KONAMI. It's not controversial. You guys may get mad at me for some of the entries on the list. I get it, but I figured it would be good to close out things with a pretty unanimous opinion. KONAMI. You guys know them as the publisher that brought us Metal Gear Solid and Silent Hill. But in the last 10 years, they've done everything in their power to alienate everybody who liked them. First, they moved Silent Hill to a Western developer and completely ruined the vibe and design philosophy. Then, they booted Hideo Kojima and killed Metal Gear Solid. Then, they canceled Silent Hills for no reason. And all the while, they've been releasing abominations like Bomberman Act Zero, Contra Rogue Corps, and a bunch of pachinko machines based on Silent Hill and Metal Gear because they're focused on the money. I mean, over the game design. KONAMI just keeps pissing people off, and they've made it very clear they don't care. They're about the cheap games with recognizable names and high return on investment. And there you have it, my friends. Those are some companies that may just need to turn it in and stop for the gaming community's sake or change their thinking. You guys let me know where you agree or disagree, and I'll see you soon.